Esteemed audience knows that I would never neglect to ask you, Speed City Sisters in Crime, have you ever seen a flying saucer, and do you believe in them? And Cheryl, I'll start with you for this one.
Oh, wow. After those weird sound effects.
I assume that was the aliens arriving even as we were
speaking. Well, actually, okay, a quick little aside. If you ever get a chance to go to the, I guess, is it called the Aeronautics Museum or something in Dayton? They actually have this flying saucer-like vehicle that I guess the Canadians were trying to develop, and then the Americans bought it, and it looks very impractical, but it's kind of cool to see. But I do believe there are other creatures out there. At least there's a strong possibility of it. And have they ever come here? I mean, I can't say that they have, but I am open to the idea. I think it's possible.
So you've not seen any non-Canadian flying saucers?
I have not seen any non-Canadian flying saucers, but I believe the potential is there.
Lily, same question to you.
I have not seen a flying saucer. I don't believe in flying saucers, but I do believe in ghosts.
Have you seen
my answer? Sure.
Oh, well, we have to hear that story. We would be remiss if we didn't get that. Where did you see a ghost?
In my house, in my bedroom. An old lady laying in my bed, there for a second, looked at me like, "What are you doing here?" and then faded away. And I've been in an apartment that had ghosts too. You could hear them walking up the stairs. And I had one whisper in my ear. I know I sound crazy. But anyway, I was fixing dinner. My husband and my son were in the living room. I know for a fact. I hadn't moved. And I'm at the counter, and the voice says in my ear, "What's for dinner?" And I looked. There was nobody there. And things like that happen a lot. So, I don't, maybe they're visitors from outer space instead of ghosts. I don't know. But no flying saucers.
Well, that's probably what the ghosts are whispering is, "Lily, look out the window. You'll see a flying saucer."
I wouldn't be surprised. This is the year for that.
You thought you were off the hot seat, but now that we've opened up to include ghosts, I got to swing back. Have you seen a ghost?
Who, me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Because I can't see you. Have I seen a ghost? I have had similar experiences to what Lily described. I don't know if they were ghosts or spirits or messengers, but they were people, and I'm especially thinking of one that was seen for an instant and then disappeared, and it was very surprising that they disappeared.
This is wonderful. That's so far 50% of the panel haunted. Tony, same question. Flying saucers and or ghost?
Have not seen a flying saucer, but I am with Cheryl and Lily in that I think the universe is so big and God's worlds are so incredible that I don't doubt.
Tony, the ghosts have frozen you. This is magic.
Have they? Oh my gosh! Can you hear me?
We had. You're back.
If you can hear me, that's the important thing. So we'll go with that. Ghosts. Let me tell real quickly. I have seen an angel. At least I believe it's an angel. The night my father passed away, I was with him. I couldn't find the bag that they gave me. Dad was in hospice care, and there's a bag that they give you that has narcotics in it. And Dad was at a point where he desperately needed that. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't remember where it was. And I called the hospice care company. I said, "You got to send somebody here," because my dad was really suffering, and he was on the bed and he was curled up in a fetal position and he was just rotating around and around and around. And I said, and they said,
Tony, we're on the edge of our seat.
Oh, yeah.
You again. Oh, this is cruelty.
It is.
So when the camera unfreezes, we're going to come back and we're going to hear the rest of the story. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the angel was there. You were looking for the narcotics, and what happened?
And they said they couldn't send someone out, that they didn't have anybody available, and they went through this. And 20 minutes later, someone shows up at my door, and it's this woman, and she said she was, and this was like 2:00 in the morning, and she says that she's from, and she told me she was from the agency, and I said, but you said that you couldn't. She said, oh, well, I'm from California, and she had this story about how she got there, and I wasn't really paying that close of attention to it, but it was this far-fetched story because she wasn't from around here and everything. And she said, but they called her, and so she came, and she just like went immediately to where this bag was in the house, and administered that to my dad. And then and Dad calmed down immediately after the narcotic had been given to him. And then she said, now, when they're in this state, they like to have people, in bed with them, and just get in bed with your dad and just be present for him. And so I put on some Frank Sinatra, which is Dad's favorite, and I just talked to him.
This is torture. I want to hear the end of the story.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony, the ghosts have frozen you again. And it sounds like the angel was there doing a good deed.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Back.
You want me to try again? Anyway,
Yeah.
the long and short of it is, she gets the bag, she gives the narcotic to my dad. She tells me to get in bed with Dad and just to pat his back, just let him know so that he can feel me, so he knows I'm present. And she said, and I will leave. There was no record that she ever showed up.
Whoa.
Wow.
And I believe that was an angel.
I do too.
I do too.
And she blasted away in a flash of bright light, and you saw her floating up outside. Oh my gosh.
I wish I could say that, but no, I mean, she just said, you stay here. I'm going to let myself out. Everything will be fine.
Wow.
And it was.
Yeah.
Have you written about that?
I have not.
Well, now it's too late. The whole internet just heard it. They're stealing it. But the next anthology, or well, you're on the board. You should change it from a Halloween theme to angels that showed up.
I'm not on the board, but that's all right.
Well, I'm sorry. You're the editor.
Well, I might be. I might. Diane, like I said,
I have it on good authority, 100%. You're going to edit the next anthology. It's going to be a Halloween theme that we just changed over to angels. Outstanding. Would you edit? Don't let me down. Flying saucers and ghosts. What have you got for us?
Well, I'm really disappointed that I haven't seen a flying saucer, because I've been trying for my entire life. Once when I was a kid, I was at my grandmother's and was outside and saw this low flying, flashing object, and I'm yelling for my mom, flying saucer, a flying saucer, and it turned out to be a satellite. I was so disappointed. I mean, I've been waiting for the visitation from the aliens, because like the rest of these guys, I mean, we live in an incredibly huge, diverse universe. So why might there not be life somewhere else? And I think wasn't there just a study this week from some scientists that suggested there might be as many as 30 or so Earth-like inhabitable planets within the Milky Way? So, yeah, why wouldn't they come here? Or maybe why would they come here?
Yeah, why would they?
Yeah. So that's the question. But yeah, I've sort of believed it my whole life, and you know how when you're like in your teens and your 20s, you can kind of glom onto conspiracy theories. Like when I was in college, I heard Mark Lane. He was a writer who was all wrapped up in the John F. Kennedy conspiracy assassination plots. So I heard him speak. So I was kind of into that for a while. And then a friend and I kind of got into this UFO kick where we absolutely were convinced that the government was covering it up. So we filed Freedom of Information Act requests to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for information on Project Blue Book. And we got pretty much nothing. But we were demanding it. So we thought for sure Freedom of Information request would crack that conspiracy wide open. And alas, it didn't. But we wrote a lot of letters to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
I had a friend that served at Wright-Pat, and he assured me that when they would run around, there was one section that has armed guards that's not for anybody without authorization. And he ran a little bit closer than normal just to test it out. He said that they raised their guns, and he had no doubt in his mind that if he had come closer, they'd have issued him a final warning, and then that potentially could have been it. He says, I don't know, I wasn't there. But I choose to believe it as 100% truth because what a wonderful detail. And Janet, how about Ghost? Have you seen a Ghost?
No, but like the rest of these guys, I've had a few really weird things happen. This was when I was still in Pittsburgh, and I was driving home after one late night at the paper, and it was driving rain, and this kind of voice in my head kept saying, slow down, slow down, there's a hydroplane, because the water, you know how the water almost like a coating on the road, almost like a river. And I had two exits that I could choose to get off to get home. And I was determined to go to the second exit, which was closer to my home, when this voice in my head said, get off now. So I did. I turned off, and I'm watching the news later that night, and at my exit, at the other exit, a car had hydroplaned, reverse direction, and slammed head on to a coming car and killed all the occupants in that oncoming car. That totally freaked me out because it was so, it wasn't like a loud voice in the car. It was that voice in your head that says, do this and do this now. So I don't know where that came from, but that was weird. But I was grateful. And freaked out.
No doubt. Fantastic. This is the most successful round of that question I think I've ever had. I ask everybody about flying saucers and, when applicable, ghosts. Francesca Zappia maybe wins because she did her interview from a haunted house, but still, to have four of you and everybody's got a story, that's pretty fantastic. I'm well pleased.